Well, good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. It is yet again another Saturday night here in Newcastle, and I must be honest, even though these nightly rituals have been going on for a bit of a while, I must admit, it's hard to describe necessarily about like how well these things I think are going, because in one way I'm not really too sure what I can say I've definitely learned, but I must say it's usually the fashion whenever I come out to do these sort of Saturday night rituals, so to speak. There's always a feeling deep down inside that, guess what, there's usually like almost like something reminiscent of a palpitation episode going on inside my chest, because even though, to be honest, everything really goes off without a hitch and, you know, these things don't cause too much trouble, there is always some sort of bizarre feeling that, guess what, it's not fear, it's adrenaline. And over the last couple of days, if you've been seeing my videos every so often, you'll probably be reminiscent of the fact that, well, I've had a lot of time for thinking, and this, by the way, is the long-form video I promised. One that would sort of give more weight to what exactly the ideas of being on the wall really consist of, especially because as the clocks change tonight, it's a new opportunity. It's a golden opportunity, if you will. But with that being said, I need to have sort of like somewhere where I can sit down and talk about it in slightly larger detail. And the reason why we're bothering even to come out to talk about it is because, well, I thought I would combine it in some way, because it's a little bit, how should I say this, a little bit, it kind of plays into how I do these sorts of videos, because part of the time I do feel like there's no way. Sometimes I feel like I go through life almost like a ghost, just wandering in amongst this city, in amongst dozens of people, and yet I don't really feel like I'm even here, or even feel as if, like, if I was gone tomorrow, who could say anyone would notice. Thankfully, however, this is not true most of the time, but what I will say is that some of the time I will, it's really been almost like the victim of how best I can describe as being misunderstood, and rather people not really hearing out what I've actually got to say. It's not always one of those things that's like set in stone, but it's also sort of one of those things where, guess what, it happens more often than not, but you come to sort of like expect these.
The bastards, I'm just rolling in the face of the master class. You know they can kiss my ass. I'm working hard out here, and I don't ask for permission. I do what I want, I'm not no politician. I'll be preaching with the blunt word until you listen. For the kids working in the kitchen, not everything is me. Y'all never given to the system. Break free from the mental prison. Yeah, and if you sin, I hope that you'll be forgiven. Yeah, I'm following my dream, it's not a written. This a freestyle, trying to break free from the screens that control our minds. Trying to follow my dream. I'm one with humankind, but sometimes it feels like humankind is me. Nobody care about me. I'm on my knees, I'm praying for Jesus Christ, yeah, for the light. But I'm lost in the darkness, but I know I'm tight when I rhyme. And it don't matter if I'm white, cause you know the line is hard to squeeze. The lemonade is coming and these bitches on their knees, and the cops are running when the clock is spraying in the row. I need some freedom, cutting deep like the skin of an onion, hustling on the street. Fuck you if you don't feel what I speak, because I'm not weak. Press repeat if you didn't catch the last line off the top of the line. You know I come off like a 9. They're gonna close the doors this time. They don't wanna hear me. Clearly, I don't got nothing left to fear, G. Facing prison time, multiple felonies. People wanna see me dead, telling lies about these.
Let's see, no, well, that's Nightmare actually the wrong way. So, you know what, whilst, you know, to be honest, let's start with that lad up there. You know what, freestyling and, oh, he's already going again. Hello. You just want to get on, brother?
Yeah, man.
Go on, brother. How you doing?
What you saying, lads? Hello, brothers.
One too bad, that's.
What you doing, like?
I kind of like do these sorts of videos on like Saturday nights and stuff like that. Yeah, mostly. Like YouTube, mostly. In fact, to be honest, I'm not really fine with TikTok. It's just kind of not too much. To be famous, I suppose. So it's you got to start. If you have to be up there, I'm glad I'm down there. You know what I mean? You got to start from somewhere. Take that guy up there. You know what? He's on the corner of Grace Monument.
Can I say motivation of the day?
Yeah, go ahead. Anything you want, brother.
Check these teeth, brother.
Oh, take your time.
When
brother.
life
Take your time.
goes down, you stand up. You know why?
Stop again.
Because you're strong. So never back down, never what?
Never give up. Yeah, it's still recording.
Yeah, it's still on.
We're gonna post anyway.
Yeah.
Where you gonna post it?
YouTube.
YouTube.
These things.
Nah, bro.
Yeah, well, I don't have a pretty sorry about that.
What's your YouTube name?
Raging Reality 1. Usually these goes up
Subscribers do you have?
442 by the last time I checked. It's a start, you know what I mean?
You're trying to end up like PSI now.
That's ambitious, that is. But you know what?
It's easy, all you have to do is just do boxing and get famous.
Raging.
Raji on the solo,
Wait for what's your
Raji.
Concealed.
Raji.
You what?
No, I know that phrase too well. You know, I still know.
What's your thing, man? YouTube name.
Raging Reality 1.
How do you spell that?
R-A-G.
Where you from?
I-N-G.
R-A-G.
I-N-G.
Are you alright, Raging.
Sorry, he's dyslexic.
No, it's alright. Raging
You can't
Reality.
see like he's grinding his left eye and 49.
Really?
Left.
That you?
That's me. Hey.
Better give you a little subscribe.
No, just anyway, enjoy the rest of your night, guys. I hope it goes well. But yeah, it's,
Say goodbye.
I'm 42% blind on my left eye and I'm 52% blind on my right eye. So matter of fact, I can't even see you, miss. So like,
don't worry, I'm half deaf in one ear anyway, so you know what?
Why are you deaf? What would happen if I screamed in your ear?
Well, at least do it in my bad ear, so I can't hear nothing. Anyway, nice to know you. Anyway, enjoy your night anyway. You know,
safe.
don't do anything I wouldn't do and all that. So, see you later, guys. See you later. See, you know what? Just like that, it's things like that you don't really. As unexpected as it happens in this city, you never really know what you're going to run into, but. It's through encounters like that, and you know what, there are loads of moments like that happen in these videos, but guess what? I don't know, there's hope for friends yet, and you know what? If that's true, that guy is like partially sighted. I don't want to say blinded, because it's like partially blinded, but you know what? Hey, listen, that's tough, and the thing about my ear isn't exactly an exaggeration either. It keeps going in, out in one ear and stuff like that. It's not a nice thing. But anyway, as I was explaining, this whole business of being stuck up this metaphorical wall, it's down to the fact that, guess what? Is it down to isolationism? Is it down to the fact that, I don't know, I've always kind of hot-footed it on my own and done things via my own path and stuff like that? There are questions, and there's no real hard answer to all of these. But somehow, one way or another, I've got to know exactly that. Guess what? There's ways off this. 1 second. Ah, there we are. Soundburst. Yeah, as I mentioned before, sometimes got to be vigilant. Even though I know these streets all too well, you've got to be mindful where you're going and everything else in particular. So. Hopefully, as this night will continue, you'll start to notice a small pattern of just, vibing, getting on with it, and you just see where the night takes you. As I said before, you can't predict how these sorts of things go, and to be honest, more often than not, I wanted to sort of share you guys a little bit of my story, if you will, about what's led me to document this experience of being stuck up a wall. And moreover, what exactly is the way to get down? What's the remedy for it? How on earth? Is there even a way theoretically off this wall? Is it just that I'm condemned to be stuck up here? Moreover, do I even want to come down? You know, questions, but hopefully, I don't know, maybe we'll get into a chat with somebody about stuff like this. It's not always, but you know what? There's people who will hear you out one way or another, and to be fair, the Northeast has always been rather renowned for having a very friendly disposition. It's not always set in stone, but you know where you are with some people, and there's not too much they could do to change your mind. But what can I say? You don't start beef with anybody. You smile and wave. You crack on. You get on with it. But that's just, I feel like almost like setting like the bare minimum. Now, and some people won't or can't do that. Whilst there's all too often many people who can and do stuff like that. They'll just, you know, get on with it, rain, sleet or shine, and round the jolly order, and we are back on Big Market. But again, I'm mostly just going to sort of like keep things on me for the most part, and let's take a seat. Let's take a pot for now. Ooh, there we go. Right, so a little bit about what exactly has brought about this whole experience in the first place. Why do I feel compelled to share the idea that I feel like I am stuck up a wall? The reason why I choose the phrase stuck up a wall as opposed to being stuck in a hole is there's a few reasons. Because one, being stuck in a hole means that there's always a light up top. You know exactly what is at the other end of this hole. You know exactly. Some could say you know how you got into a hole, and you sort of know instinctively how to get out of a hole. There's a very clear path to victory, so to speak, when you're stuck in a hole. When you're stuck up a wall, however, that's a very, very different problem. Because in the first place, are you afraid of heights, for example? Sometimes the view over, let's say, the entire world, and when you start bringing up stuff like that, you begin to ask yourself questions of, well, how high up are we? I've likened this metaphor to being stuck, like, even above the clouds and almost scratching the very surface of the hemisphere that is above us at this moment. So you can't even see what the real world looks like down below. And when you realize that, when you start to make the very, very long journey down, you start to look down and you've realized, well, how high up are we? And for that matter, what exactly are we getting off this wall for? Is it because we are stuck up here by ourselves? Do you feel compelled to share the idea that, guess what? Once you're stuck up here, you can only get down, but you can only get down via your own merits. When one has realized that, similar to being stuck down a hole, you know what? Who even knows you're up here? Or you know what? Exactly stuff like that. Who knows you're up here? And for that matter, who is going to come to your rescue, if any? But for the purposes of this like whole exercise, so to speak, let's go with the idea that nobody is going to come down to save us or come up to save us. Let's assume that's like the port of call. Let's assume that that's just sort of what's going to happen. Like, we're stuck up here by ourselves, and guess what? There's not much anyone could do to help us, and the only thing we could do is to come down completely off ourselves, and therefore there's not much. There's no two ways about it. We are stuck up here, and therefore it is down to us to get ourselves down. That's the first thing. The second thing I need to emphasize is, well, how did we even get up here in the first place? For those who are familiar with Pink Floyd's The Wall, you will know, reminisce the story about how Pink is said to describe as having like metaphorical walls put up all around him. Now the reason for this is because he felt completely isolated and completely cut off from the rest of the world. But for those who, and spoiler alerts by the way, those who remember what happens at the very end of the story, where Pink feels like he's on the outside world, he's breathing clean, unpolluted, sweet air, and then all of a sudden he goes, but wait. The great irony is that insofar as breaking down one barrier, he is confronted by another. What exactly this barrier is very, very, we don't know for certain exactly what this barrier is supposed to be. What we do know, on the other hand, is that, guess what? It was not to be, and guess what? It's something he has to deal with his own. But one thing is for certain is that he's breaking down a feeling of isolation that he feels is completely compelled by himself, and well, there is only one thing he can do, and that is to, well, break down this wall again. And my phone is going mad. Let's, gives me someone's interrupting my story. Oh, no, not. 1 second. Right, sorry, where was I? Yeah, it wasn't anything, but it was something that I had to check out anyway. So, whilst all this is going on, and whilst the prospect of being, trying to find my way down this one thing, and what exactly is sort of the, what is the intention of getting down? That's like priorities about why I want to get down. And that's actually a very, very difficult one to put into words, because in the first place, suppose it's that I do get down off this wall and I'm back in the world of man. But what world am I actually back into? I've described it as a world of man, but what is a world of man? I mean, take a look at where we're at right now. Take a look at our surroundings. We are in the middle of Newcastle on a busy Saturday night here in the big market, where the theme is bars, pubs, either side, a small American pop-up restaurant, Hooters, surrounded by people who are just sort of going about their business, trying to enjoy what time they have on this mortal coil of ours. Yeah, people get into fights, people wanted to have a good time, everybody's just sort of making the most out of everything. And so be it. So why, but here, and I know immediately what you're thinking to yourself is that there is so much more to the world than, you know, big market. There is a big world out there. And sometimes when that does happen, you become a little bit disillusioned, and you want to know exactly if there are other worlds out there in which very different sort of people inhabit. And that's kind of what brought me up to the idea of this whole thing about trying to save up and move out to Las Vegas, so to speak. Because in my mind, it's not so much about going to, it's like almost like a fresh start, where I could go to a different part of the world in which different people exist, where different people inhabit, and you get to meet very different people from very different walks of life. And that's not to say you can't do it here in Newcastle, don't get me wrong, but the problem is, well, how much do I dare talk about or open up to people? Like, I've always been described, so to speak, as a fairly good listener. It's the sort of person that people could talk to, you could get a great conversation out of, which kind of naturally draws me to the idea of doing this whole auditing YouTube lark in broad daylight. What doesn't, however, bring me up to stuff is, well, sometimes the people you come across are, well, I'm sure the videos have described, some of them are, you know, a lot of them are all right. It's when people automatically start taking liberties with you. They start saying things about you are completely untrue. They growl, they hiss, they snarl, they bite, they spit. Yeah, to be honest, yeah, spitting is one of the things that has happened to me, sadly, whilst doing all this. It's an awful thing, and I don't. I don't recommend it because I'm not really too sure what spitting could resolve or what it could lead to in the circumstances. But whilst all of this is going on, and whilst again the mean streets here have no names or something like that. Hello. Nah, don't worry. Right, so apparently he knows better than I do and seems to convene with my version of the truth. Oh well, it is how it is, and like I said, yeah, it's, and I'm sure, here's the thing, I'm not entirely convinced, you know, the grass is always greener on the other side, but yeah, that's the thing I've always, is that, have I put myself up this wall because I wanted to get away from people in every, like, metaphorical sense possible, because I don't know how to relate to people. I don't know how to relate to people even with context. And I don't really know on the bottom, at the top of my mind, whether it's like an endeavor to look into, an endeavor to be practicing into. I mean, I've been on this earth now for 28 years, and during that time, I can recall you moments I've enjoyed in the moment, surrounded by people, but guess what? They move on. We all have to move on, but I'm not entirely convinced, despite thoroughly admitting to the world that I understand why things are the way they are. However, is that only half the story? Because it is a bit difficult to accept. Because sometimes I put it out as people who are moving on as though they're no longer of this world, which has happened every so often. I mean, more resulting from like family members and stuff like that. Hello. You want to get on, sister?
I don't want to.
Alright, well.
I thought you were already on that side. I was just checking.
Alright, joke. Anyway. Oh, thanks for that. Cheers. So, yeah, but I suppose, again, the curiosity of, like, why it's, mind you, with that being said, it's never really been too much of a thing about why people, like, come up and ask about why do I do these sorts of videos, and thankfully, tonight is one of those occasions where, guess what? I actually have a good pretense for doing it, because, well, to be honest, I've been doing this for the last 7 weeks on a Saturday night anyway. Some people are curious. It's not always the case, and sometimes curiosity gets the better of some people. Curiosity is no crime, so to speak, but it's not always like, if I were to tell people having to discuss my innermost thoughts, I wonder seriously about, like, what would the response be? Would people be open to the idea, or it's not, I'm not asking them to sit all night and, you know, spill the beans and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know, and again, we talk about the world we live in and what is the world at man at the moment. Well, it's one of those feelings where, you know what, if you take a look at the news, you begin to think that actually the world of man is not really a desirable place at all, and you would rather be still stuck up a wall, completely oblivious to things that are going on in the world, like wars going on all across West Asia. Then, of course, there's protests, marches, political powers to do the most obnoxious and the most scandalous things you can imagine. Everybody is just either killing each other, deviling each other. Everybody is just sort of, it drags the whole, the ideal aspects of the world of man down little by little. Because you never see, there has never been a channel that broadcasts nothing but good news. Some would argue that there's no story in it. Others would argue there is no money in that. And sadly, there is something to be said about money being made in the aspects of human suffering and misery. I mean, as we're speaking right now, somebody's arguing in amongst City Vault, and you can sort of like hear it for all the world to see, and or all the world to hear. No, my mistake, it's Pia Kia. Somebody was arguing with a doorman, and, well, someone else is giving instructions, like, further down the street. Oh well, here's how it is. Thankfully, as we continue to sit here, and the more I begin to wonder, well, if there's anything more I wanted to say. Well, to be honest, there is, because these are just the sort of things that make me... I want to stay up on this wall, probably because I feel comfortable in my own surroundings, aka I am surrounded by literally myself and literally nobody else. I feel so particularly fine and comfortable being myself, and almost rejecting the concept of like companionship. But the problem is that I do so heavily seek out the idea of companionship, and there's no denying it, is that there's something incredibly alluring and incredibly desirable about companionship. Somebody you can share your ideas and your thoughts and stuff with. Maybe that's of course why YouTube has always been a great investment for the last 8 years of my life, because it means I get to interact little by little with the outside world, and I don't have to like be surrounded by other people to do it. I get to partake as much as anybody else, but I don't have to do it without succumbing to peer pressure and the thought that, well, maybe not everybody has like my best interest at heart. Seems a bit selfish the way you put it like that, but I like to imagine that that's just sort of, well, how I've always managed to put it. I mean, I can talk you through an incident that happened just yesterday when I was at work. I was about an hour left. There was about like 1 hour left of my shift, and the only thing that was like, one of the managers kept saying whether or not I was going to these like awards ceremonies and stuff like that, in which everybody is included and everybody, you know, it's a great opportunity to celebrate awards and stuff like that. And the thing is that he, as well as a few other, you know, people I work with, they were continuing to like talk to me about was I going or not, and they kind of made it out as though I was literally the only person who worked in the joint who wasn't going. I'm sure there were like at least 2 or 3 other people who weren't going. Maybe they had other plans and stuff like that, but for whatever reason they were really not letting go of me to say no. And for whatever reason, I just sort of, I didn't say I wasn't going. I kept saying I would like think about it. But if I'm honest, why I didn't just say I wasn't going, I don't know. Why on earth I could have just, I don't know, been brave and been bold enough to say hello. Being bold enough to say and admit to the world, I'm not interested in that sort of thing. Please stop asking me. I just want to, you know, it's just not my thing. Because, well, to be honest, there is a little bit of a good reason as to why I'm always a little bit auspicious about stuff like that. It's because the last award ceremony I went to of that description, all the way in the beginning of the year, I was surrounded by people who I had no context for, didn't really know how to strike up a conversation, and about 20 minutes into the evening, I get a phone call from my place of work saying that the branch I worked in was going to be shut down in like 2 months' time. So I thought the idea of staying there for even so much as another second was, well, quite frankly, taking the mick and a little bit beneath my dignity. They have said to me that that sort of thing straight up does not happen. However, and I'm not disbelieving it, don't get me wrong, I'm not disbelieving this idea. What I am, however, skeptical of, however, is that, well, who am I going to speak to? Who am I going to, like, be around? And I have admitted that in the past, I do admit off my own back that I kind of have a face on me where you could tell without even looking me in the face that I just didn't want to be there. And this is something that I have actually relayed to other people through my videos before, and they've always told me, like, you should never ever under any circumstance bow to peer pressure, because if they really like cared about your opinion, then they would have just accepted, you know what, no. They would have just said, you know what, fair enough, if you don't want to attend, we're not going to force anything on you, there you are. And I'm sure deep down inside they would have been like that had I just told them exactly what I what I really felt, and yet I still didn't do it. Is that cowardice, or what? And when you realize that, you begin to realize that, well, is that something to admit to when you're stuck up this wall? That the only reason you're up you're up here in the first place is because you're too cowardice, if you will, to admit to the world that, guess what, you're perfectly fine up here and you don't really want anyone's help, so you know what, up here I will stay. Which, to be honest, sometimes it will suit the rest of the world just fine to be stuck up here and to be left alone and to be minded my own business. But I can still tell people that, guess what, this is what I've chosen and this is what I've accepted. So therefore, the camera's on me, brother. Sorry about that. So, camera's on me, sister, but don't worry about that. Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, you know, I'm glad. I'm glad they're happy, and you know what? Is that a level of skepticism I have towards people a little bit too much to go unnoticed? That there are some people who just, you know, polite, and does it say a lot about me that I become deeply suspicious when anybody is unilaterally kind to me? Is that just what being up this wall really, or was I just always like this? Nowadays, I don't know, but I must say, I think people who do know me a little bit better will say they know me better enough to know that I was not, you know, this like judgmental and skeptical about the kindness of strangers. And to be honest, it's always these kind of things that I'm always very, very unsure of to admit to other people, because guess what? If I admit it to other people about what I think and, you know, about like morality and stuff like that, will I find people who relate to the same ideas? How do you break down such a barrier, and how do you feel like you just want to be able to get? I think that also maybe that's kind of like maybe where the faux pas of coming out on Saturday nights filming here is probably a mistake, because, well, is this really my scene, and why am I trying to make it out this is my scene? I'm sure people have come up to me and they've sort of looked me up and down and they said, I do not like the sort of person who would enjoy coming out to Big Market on Saturday nights, or even the idea of like coming out to like drink on Saturday nights anyway. Because you may have also noticed that I've done quite a lot of videos in my time where I've admitted that I'm nearly a full third of the year without drinking. But the thing is though, I have always admitted and been very straight when I said to people, I've never been an alcoholic. Never been an alcoholic before, during, or at any stage afterwards. I do it because I kind of felt like I had to change something. And is that kind of what it also comes down to? Thank you. Is that what it also comes down to, the idea of change? But I suppose maybe if I have any chance of change, then I've got to start by acknowledging where I am and facing reality is as it is. So what is the reality of, you know, where I'm at? I feel like I've gone through quite a lot of things in my life that I feel like I do take responsibility for some things, but there are some things I fundamentally just kind of feel wrong time, wrong place, and maybe I was also surrounded by people who, by their own admission, they should have known far better than not to put me in places that, guess what, they knew I wasn't particularly suited. And maybe there's something to be said about being stuck in situations, like being put up a wall. So what? Am I up this wall because of my own doing? Have I been put on a wall by somebody else? Am I wanting to come down from this wall because I want to actually be part of like the real world once again? But am I too scared of the thought of, well, the real world is too hostile and a little bit too uncertain a place. It's a bit like the metaphor about like the unpredictability of these sorts of nights out. You can't anticipate these sorts of things. You can't predict what happens. If things happen on a Saturday night, then they happen. And I've had quite a few conversations with people about these sorts of things, and guess what? If it happens, it happens, and there's very little that I or anybody else can really do about it. However it happens, it happens. But I also yeah, words failing me. I'll just leave for now and say, is this just sort of what it comes down to at the end of the day? You find a place to belong, and for whatever reason, I feel like my place where I belong is up a wall, but one in which people can still see me. I'm still a part of this world in such that this fountain is very much a part of the world. And is that how it is? Am I doomed to struggle with such a conflict until the very end of my days? I don't know exactly what the answer for stuff like this is, but what I do know is that however things may appear, I do always know that, guess what, I'm still better off than, let's say, other persons. Because there are loads of people across the world right now, and when one puts ideas, things like that, you begin to realize that it's a great cure for self-pity. To think of the hundreds, if not millions of people who would absolutely die for being in my position, or who claim to be saying being metaphorically stuck up a wall is the absolute least of their problems. I mean, remember, I know, again, I talk a lot about the horrors, about the certain wars that are going on in the world right now, but remember, I was I was in the middle of like, I was only about like 14 years old when I first started hearing about the horrors of the Syrian Civil War. The Syrian Civil War that in late 2014 had a dire image, and I'm sure some of you guys may remember. What was this about? It was the image of two boys, 5 and 4 years old, laying face down in the sand dead because they tried to get away from the conflicts in Damascus. It was one of the harrowing and defining images, and certainly one of the things that burns a hole in my mind about the Syrian Civil War. Because guess what? What did they die for? Nothing. Did they deserve any of it? No, of course they didn't. So where have I? So the thing I try to like emphasize and take away from stuff like that is that how can I have the audacity to complain about how bad my life is or how complicated my situation is when, guess what, there are people out there who never stood a chance, and well, that's about that. How can I even start conversations like that without acknowledging stuff like this? Well, I suppose maybe the way people phrase it, and it hasn't been lost on me in explaining that, you know, when I mentioned about the Civil War, people like immediately stop and tell me that had nothing to do with me. That was not my fault. I was not responsible. So, and you know what? That's as sad as it is. You still got to think about your own life, and you still got to, you know, get on with it and stuff like that. And there's, you know what? It's tragic and it's terrible. But guess what? You know what? If you feel deep down inside there's something you want to do about it, then I'm sure there are plenty of like charitable organizations out there who would sort of try and break it down in which there could be ways to help, you know, Syrian refugees or Ukrainian refugees, or, you know, not Somalian refugees, but who was I think about? The Forgotten War. Which one am I thinking about? All the way down in Africa. Chad. Well, you know, it is how it is. there's not too much else I could add apart from when it might make reference to stuff like this. But that might also be a possible infliction of the sort of environment we're in as well. Is that everywhere you turn on the internet, if you're not on one side, you are immediately deemed to be on the other. If your priorities are not X, A, B, or C, they will secretly think that you're in league with X, Y, and Z. If you say one thing, people interpret that as meaning that you think you are in leagues with the other. Sad as it is, and last week was no different, there are people who exist in this world who you will tell them the truth, but as long as it's not a truth that they accept, they will push you until only they will hear what they personally want to hear. I know that was an incredibly wordy way to put it, but I do genuinely believe this to be true. That when push comes to shove, people will gather around and they'll shove. But sometimes I wonder if they know what they're shoveling for. I wish I knew exactly, when people were fighting for their rights, I wish I knew what people were fighting for, or what are the motivations for what they're fighting for, or rather, what do they legitimately believe in? And one is, when one has put ideas like that into someone's head, you begin to realize, in some small way, well, what is, it's not so much what the use in fighting is, but is this a fight that people can win? Because I feel like that's the sort of thing I feel like people seem to miss sometimes. Forget about all the protesting that's going on all over the world as we speak. Forget about everything that is going on, everything that is happening. Forget about, the political situation here in the UK, which I must say I know very, very well. And the things that people say, foolish as it is, sadly no longer surprise me. It's the idea at the very back of my mind that reads something to the extent of, well, do people legitimately think they'll win? Like, whatever it is they're fighting for, do people think they can win? And what is going to happen when they win? Because they may be victorious, but who is say they're going to be victorious when the next conversation happens, and when the next conflict happens, and when the next protests begin, and when the next fighting kicks off again? So who is to say? It is the old adage of, you know what, people win and they think they are on top of the world, but the sad reality, and this is something people know far too well, is that nobody stays on top forever, and nobody wins forever. And it's a very inconvenient truth about life, very, very inconvenient, that nobody always wins, because nobody escapes the cruel fate of death in the end. There is no mercy from the very edge of the blade. And when one has realized stuff like this, you also begin to notice in some small way what exactly the temerity, whether or not even stuff like that even occurs to some people. Because it certainly occurs to me, and I know this tale very, very well. But it feels almost discountenanced, even for someone as young as, or even someone as old as I am, to only consider and only think and only participate in the foreknowledge of death. Not because it's going to happen, but because sometimes you feel, well, is there anything to be afraid of apart from the notion that death is something that just happens to everybody in the end? But then again, But then again, what exactly? Camera's on me anyway, brother. It's, you've got nothing to worry about. Hi.
Thank you.
So, but then again, I'm not exactly the person to be the barometer for judgment when it comes to. Hello again. I'm not exactly the barometer for when it comes to people to start judging in terms of, well, is it right for me to say because people don't consider, is it right to judge people with the same level of morality or the same level of tier system just because some people don't share the same ideas or the same morals as I do? No, it's not really fair at all, but unfortunately it is happened because I make no protest that I'm about as prone to judgment as, well, sadly, all the rest. However, I think it's just an extremely poor taste to be confrontational with people when it comes to judgment because, as they say in the good book, you know what, judge not lest ye be judged and stuff like that. I don't exactly remember where in the Bible that's from, but I certainly do know it's up there, and there's quite a lot to be said about judgment, and there's also quite a lot to be said about, well, trying to maintain the standards of human dignity. The parable of the Good Samaritan rings because it's less about. I think it's also about charity, but I think it's also there's a lot to be said about dignity and doing the right thing because it is the right thing to do. And no matter where you're from or where you were brought up in, Nazareth, Bethlehem, that's not what should matter. And I know, again, for whatever reason, I know saying stuff like that, it just kind of feels like it's the right thing to say and the right thing to do, but I feel like I'm almost becoming involved in a world that doesn't think that, guess what, the right thing to do is the right thing to do, or do the right thing for the right reasons. I know it sounds like, you know, I'm being a bit, you know, silly and saying stuff like that, but I don't know, it just feels that's kind of like the extent of my my disconnect with some people. I feel disconnected with people in the sense that I don't really know exactly what people believe in, or whether or not it's just the matter of just the order of things. And how some people will go to such extents where they will fabricate things in the name of gossip and scandal for the sake, at the expense of the truth, or not the full truth, as the case might be. So, in fairness, to sum up at least this part of our journey so far, being stuck up a wall is something that is, I feel like, more my own doing because of the characteristics of how I was brought up and the characteristics I have adopted since I started learning to, you know, properly think out for myself. And even as from my adolescence, even well into my adulthood, to where I sit right now, I feel as if my feelings have gone unchallenged and almost unchanged. And there is no doubt that if I was to come down, I feel like if and when I do come down off this wall, however it may be, I feel like I'll be coming down into a world that is not only not of my own, but also I feel like a world that doesn't pretend to disguise that it's never going to be one of my own. And whatever the case may be, I just have to be a part of it. Hello. I just have to be a part of it one way or another. And I'm not entirely sure if I want to be in a world in which, you know, being who I am is considered almost perverse. You want to get on, brother? What? You want to get on?
Where's it going?
YouTube, just that's it like that. You want to get in? Yay, there we go.
Come here, boys. Yeah, boy. We only come to work. Good son. Yes, forever.
Have a nice day anyway, guys.
Take it easy, son, eh?
Yeah.
What's your YouTube channel?
Raging Reality 1.
What is it?
Raging Reality 1.
Raging. I mean, it's your format. Raging Reality.
I may as well keep this running anyway because I do quite like the idea of like being stuck up. It's not too bad being up here actually. To be fair, it's at least you feel you look around and stuff like that. Anyway,
Reality
1, gotcha. So whilst that was comforting, and you know what? At least, yeah, am I just like being too hard on myself? Do I just feel kind of? I'm gonna sit back down actually. Well, let's do it that way and just sort of get back into the swing of things. There's a part of me deep down inside where I don't really feel like I have much else to say, and there's also a part of me deep down inside that it's because it may seem like a little bit of a oversimplification in terms of like what I think about the modern world, and does my perception of people seem a little bit adjacent to what I truly believe. There's probably a lot of that, because bear in mind there's a lot of things that I've talked about so far that don't really seem to cover in terms of what I believe and where I go any further. Chief among these things is what my feelings are towards, let's say, the fairer sex, so to speak. Because I'm not really too sure about, well, what exactly people expect me to say. Because, yeah, to be honest, the thing is that I talk about this whole thing about isolationism and stuff like that. Hello. And I'm sure I can't be the only person in the world who, like, feels this sort of place, so to speak. But one may think that at the wall level, the sexes would be about as balanced as elsewhere, but unfortunately it's not so. In fact, one can say that below a certain level, or maybe even high on a different sort of level, whatever one I'm on right now, society is almost entirely male. And I don't know whether it's just because women hardly or very hardly ever condescend or to men who are maybe different than themselves. I don't know exactly what it is, but I've yet to encounter, like, listen, I know a few women, I must be honest, but is it also just because it's totally irrelevant? Because, well, you treat any person as you expect them to be treated, and it works itself from there. You don't treat people differently just because you know, they're different and stuff like that. And I know fine well that this is just sort of how it is. And do you want to get on, sister?
Hey, let's go, Rowan.
Enjoy your night anyway.
Thank you.
There we go. Right, so we go.
Yeah, I like that, don't you? Let's go with novel. Hey, delete that. That's fucking child pornography, you cunt. Oh, you'll have a look. I didn't mean to do that, sorry.
He can say he didn't mean to do that all he wants, but guess what? It still happened. Right, okay. That certainly put a different spin on things. I certainly remember I bought something along with me and stuff like that. Let's get ourselves dried up. What a horrible thing to do that was. Who raised people to do shit like that? And I don't want to be like, you know, because that is filthy. That is what he just threw on my head. Got to throw on the camera as well. And who thought that's just, who raises people to do like that sort of thing? That's terrible. That is. I'm gonna have to pause this and get this cleaned. Okay, so you join me like less than 2 minutes later, and I've decided to move away from the nuclear fountain, so to speak, and I'm just gonna chill out on this railing. I'm gonna chill out on this railing where I can talk to the camera and I can mind my own business, and guess what? I can do just as I wish in public, and guess what? There's nothing that anybody can say, because, as I said before, the sort of people who call me that and then do it. Do you want to get on, sister? There we go. Hello.
Hello, my lovelies. How are you diddling? What we're filming for?
Do like little documentaries on YouTube and stuff like that about like the nightlife here in the northeast. Hello. Hi. Hello.
Up the lads. How are you, the lads?
What are you filming?
Do like stuff for YouTube and stuff
Is it
like
like
that.
A documentary?
Yeah, that sort of thing.
I'll do an interview for you.
How are you, the lads?
Yeah,
How
sure,
are you,
sure,
the
sure,
lads?
sure.
Toot, black, white, army, toot.
443 by the last time I
Fair enough. Do you like camping? Camping is a big thing on YouTube, right?
Do you want to get around, brother? There we go.
Alright.
Yeah, so I've never really been camping, but I've heard like a lot of people do like get it. Are you a fan yourself?
Yeah, I'm really camping. I'm not really about the nightlife. It's only tonight.
Oh right, you just so happen to be out with the missus. Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So what is this sort of about the nightlife or just Newcastle in general?
Well, ironically, there was like a long form video, like an essay I did, and I was like just sitting underneath that fountain over there.
Yeah.
A load of people come up to me, started behaving like idiots, and then they tell me that I was filming CP. I can't.
That's too far.
I can't say it because, you know, for the sake of that. And then one of them just.
Excuse me, I just heard what was happening. What?
Then somebody literally just grabbed the water and just threw it on my head.
Oh, that's awful.
Today?
Oh,
Yeah, like 5 minutes
is
ago.
that this on your jump? Oh,
Yeah.
Mate, I'm actually.
I don't know if you've ever seen what it's like in that fountain. It's green. Something was living in that before it died.
I'm actually really sorry to hear that you heard that happened to that in Newcastle. I'm sorry.
I must be honest. When that sort of thing happens, one of two things happen. I could literally do thing. I know there's police around here and all that. Believe you me, they would not get there in time. Let's just put it like that. Or you can not do things that the police would not get there in time for. And to be honest, when you've got stuff like this, you don't even need to think about the first one because they see it for as it is. And guess what? I'm the victim in literally all of this. So there you are. However, you were saying about camping. Let's get back to that.
Wait, firstly, I just want to say I'm sorry that you had that experience. Like,
oh, that happens a lot.
I don't want that to be a representation from Newcastle. Where are you from?
Ponteland, like just.
Oh, you're local.
Yeah, just outside, basically.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you had that experience.
Don't worry about it.
So, is this about nightlife or what? Is it?
Well, tonight it was just about doing like a little video-ish sort of essay, just about certain other things that was like going on in my life, and it was only tangentially related to being outside because I've done this for like the last 7 weeks here in the north on a Saturday night, so I'm just Raging Reality 1. Raging.
Oh, Raging Reality.
What's your YouTube channel mainly about?
It's sort of about just trying to change my life for the better and sort of getting myself back into the real world. Unfortunately, the real world must have been closed that day.
How come the real world? What do you mean? I'm actually interested now.
Well, okay. By the time this goes out, it's like 7 in the morning. I usually put these things out. You might get a slightly better idea because I do like a load of shorts and stuff like that, which explain a little bit in better detail. But for what they're worth, I think there's more to life than just things like this.
I know. You know what? I agree. It's hard to explain. Actually, I don't even know if I want to say it.
Anything you want to say, bro? Go ahead.
It's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm a bit drunk, so it's like, I don't want to say anything that I'll regret, so, I don't know. But I understand what you mean, that things like football aren't really, for example, football isn't real. So human has a tribal sense, right?
Yeah.
Every human has a tribal instinct to fight. And it's things like football and clubbing, they want to distract you from they want to take your tribal heart and take it out like, oh, football, this is what matters. But football doesn't matter. Clubbing doesn't matter. These things don't matter in your life.
Yeah.
And the only thing that really matters is your family and your, I want to say country, but not even your country matters. The only thing that really matters is your family and your heart.
That's your word.
So what's your name?
Jim. Jimmy Frank.
Nice
to meet you too.
Rage and Reality.
What?
Raging Reality.
What do you talk about on your channel? What's your short?
You'll be pleasantly surprised. Anyway, enjoy your night used to and all that. And good luck camping as well. I can't wait to. At least again. What if it matters to you, brother? Then that's fair enough. That's honest.
No, I'm honestly really interested. I know I'll watch your shorts, but can I know a little bit? Like what?
Yeah, it's sort of like just trying to. You see, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to actually raise money to get to start working in Vegas.
Oh, okay.
And I have to like get nearly £25,000 together. And in the first like 4 days, I put nearly 400 quid away. So it's going to take some time, but you know what? It's completely doable. And I just sort of go about explaining how I'm going to do it, and well, what do I expect to happen when I get there?
So I know once you get 1,000 subscribers and what is it, 1,000 hours of watch time?
4,000 hours of watch time.
So 1K subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time.
Yeah.
And you'll get okay. Well, I wish you all the best.
Oh, cheers, cheers once again.
Well, I honestly wish you don't
cheers.
drink or anything. No.
No, I think you'll see that on the shorts
So
as well.
you're sort of documenting reality.
Yeah, documenting the real world.
Yeah, there's a website called Documenting Reality. It's an awful website. You know it.
I've heard of it, and I know things like
He
it.
actually knows about documenting.
I think it was called like InfoWars at one point, but guess
this
what?
Guy knows. This guy, you spend, 4chan.org.
I've heard. I've done videos about the kind of crap that they try to pull. Saying how they were gonna I'll get you on
Okay.
about how they were gonna get sued nearly $500,000 from the UK government.
They just ignored it. Right?
Yeah, but unfortunately, you know what? Trying to take on the government is not really a good idea. 4chan is not more important than it.
No, but they
than the
still
powers that be.
upload these things are still on 4chan. They're open on 4chan.
Oh yes, they're true, but they still do things here in the UK. Like they're still open to servers here in the UK, and
Exactly.
therefore they have to comply by UK law.
But they're not complying. Right now, they're not.
Oh, true. Yeah, true. And guess what? Well, they post Ofcom post a threat. They were going to get fined $500,000.
they just ignored it.
They post a picture of hamster. Fine, get fined again. See what happens. It catches up with them sooner or
So
later.
you talk about politics on stuff on your channel or anything?
Well, sometimes it's current events. Sometimes not.
Or
I
is it
try.
more, yeah, okay. Is it more like social?
It's more social, I would say, but sometimes you can't really talk about social things without talking about like the slightly bigger picture. But the
Very
smaller,
interesting.
but the smaller ones are just as important, and I can tell it's freezing. I know what I mean.
Wait, can I just ask one more thing
Yeah,
about
go
your
ahead.
camera? Where did you get this camera? It's a really nice one.
John Lewis about 4 years ago. It works fantastic because it very rarely goes outside, and it's the slight advantage to like the larger, big the ones you put on your camera because you can sort of see from a distance what it is. And these things, the only thing is like the battery isn't particularly the longest on these sorts of things, but they do the job just fine.
You remind me of this YouTuber called Charlie Vage.
I am not like Charlie.
No. Just like recording live. I don't know.
Oh, there are loads of people who do that.
Yeah,
and
but you're like on the other end of Charlie Vage.
I try to be different from
Yeah,
those sorts of people, but you know what? Whether that's what people watch, that doesn't matter. What matters to me is what I do, and you know what? People gather around that sort of thing.
But Charlie Vage is really big because humans love this drama. They love the next thing.
It's very. I know exactly. He knows what he's doing as well. And
exactly. Sometimes, right? This is big. I don't think even Charlie Vage agrees so much with what he's doing. It's more like he knows what's going to be popular. He knows what he's doing. I think obviously Charlie Vage is quite on the right wing. Like he's on that side, but how much does he actually believe in it? Quite a bit, but it's more because he knows he will make money. He knows.
Yeah, and well, if it lasts, how long it lasts is one thing that's always good.
All right,
Remember me?
Rage in reality.
yes,
All right, have a good night. All right?
Cheers,
have a good one.
So night again. Yeah, how are you doing?
Oh, my favourite fans. How are you?
Not bad. It's been cheers.
Do you know the TikTok I got from me?
Oh, you've seen his arse then?
I might have done. Oh yeah, Scotty T from Morpeth.
How's it going there? Social media?
Not bad. I've been out here for actually nearly 2 hours now because I was sat under that fountain because I originally came here to do like a long form video essay about like certain other things that were going on in my life that I kind of needed to get out. And then it kind of stopped very abruptly because some hooligans or whatever, I have no idea what they were, they reach and say, hey, you're filming CP, you little, you're
just awful.
and then he gets a hand of like water on it and just, that's why it's like still like,
No way.
now,
Some total cunts about it.
now let me just tell you something about when stuff like that happens, because that's not the first time that's happened when I've been out doing this. You've got one of two options. One, you do something that the police will not get there in time, or second,
I mean, they're right next to you. I hope they get there in time.
well, believe you'll be surprised. The second, the second, you do nothing because guess what? It's the camera's still rolling, and guess what? The last thing people want you to think is that what's going on over there.
EN.Smith 114I. Yeah, it's
Nice. Anyway, how's your night's going anyway?
doing alright. As long as you're alright now. I didn't like to hear about that.
Yeah, you know that. But again, that you grow numb to that. You shouldn't grow numb to that because that's a terrible thing to happen. But guess what? that it will show up in the video when it goes up. Like, who does that? Just goes up to people and they just do that when you're doing nothing wrong.
Bro, you'll expect you'll see a lot of that when you're out in town.
Yeah. Anyway, enjoy your night, guys. You stay safe as well. Oh, God.
Come on again, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
honestly
fine.
really interested in what you do.
I'll tell you what. I'll point the camera the other way because honestly, the shoulder's like really starting to like give. So let me just get the camera. Do you mind if I?
I can film you if you want.
I'd rather the camera stay on me because once this thing leaves my hands, it is gone forever.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
yeah.
You come to it. It doesn't happen always, but you know what? I've seen enough of it. But so anyway, where were we?
Wait, do you go to other cities in the UK or is it just Newcastle?
The plan is to sort of like, it's more because work confines me a little bit to be more within the city. If I had like more time on my hands, I would go to other cities, but let me tell you, I basically have like two lives, so to speak. My life at work and then when I'm doing things on social media, which is literally a 24/7 job.
Do you want your job to be social media? In theory.
In theory, yes, because the idea is that I can engage with people and tell stories and get to know ordinary members of the public. But at the same time, I feel like that's not the sort of thing I'm going to become like famous for. Usually it's something when you do inadvertently or completely by accident. It's the sort of thing that grabs people's attention. It's not intentional, but one of the consequences of stuff like that is that it directs people towards you, and then when they hear stuff like that and then they actually find out what you're about, logically it sort of like all falls into place. Besides, I've been doing videos on YouTube for 8 years, and I can thankfully say is that I've never been involved in any sort of like controversy because I don't get I know far better not to get involved in stuff like that.
Some guy just got arrested there. Did you see?
I think it's a girl actually. I can't tell. Very androgynous as she sort of like convulses back and forth.
Yeah.
I think he maybe got something on him or something like that.
But people like that, they get arrested. This is probably his 20th time getting arrested.
Yeah. By the way, you know how you see other auditors? They would like gather around and they would film like police activity and stuff like that.
Are you an auditor? Are you AV? Is this? Are you? I meant the AV.
Nah, no, that's like other people who call themselves auditors, stuff like that. However, again, I don't really do that. I can, but I just choose not to because.
I was just thinking, imagine this is the AV because no one knows what his face looks like.
Yeah, that's.
But you know AV.
I know a lot of that. To be honest, again, a lot of those auditors, I'm very, very mixed on stuff like that because one lad autistic audits and whoa, he's actually really struggling now. I'm explaining it to the people at home because he might say something really, really loud and really, really offensive, and I'll have to do a lot of work in editing and stuff like that. Hello.
Yes, can I come in the podcast?
You know what, honestly, thank you so much. I'm going to check out Rage in Reality 1, but thank you so much. I'm really interested in what you do.
Alright, cheers. Anyway,
I'll leave you alone.
Enjoy that. No, that's fine. Thanks very much, guys. Well, to be honest, now if there's one thing that I can safely say that has happened in like the last 20 minutes, sort of like being dunked by the creatures of the Black Lagoon, so to speak, I am prepared to say that guess what? What a nice bunch of people we have met in the meantime. Guys who've seen me before, the guys who understand as a matter of course that guess what? Where do you even go with stuff like that? Because you can't tolerate that kind of nonsense one way or another. And guess what? But as I said before, that sort of thing happens all the time in this city, and you can't, under any such circumstance, come to expect anything better. And by the way, the camera's on me because there's a police on the corner and they're very quick to shove him in. And there's like 4 officers and yeah, no money shot this time. It's just sort of, well, you can see the light dazzling on my forehead, and that's just sort of how it is. So tell you what, let's sit back down again. So where were we once again? So yeah, you know what? It's moments of decency like that where guess what? I know you can't hear it, but he's actually kicking about inside the car. The only thing I will say for whatever the case was, because I saw out of the corner of my eye that they got something out of his pocket and they put it into something confined. It could have been a weapon, it could have been like a substance or stuff like that. I am prepared to say, as this night goes on, you see that sort of anyway. People act like idiots, people kick off, and yeah, I must be honest, I've been doing this sort of thing for a short while now, and it's going to be expected. But what you don't expect, however, is that when things do kick off, and when things, you know what, when the metaphorical SHIT does hit the fan, the only thing to do is, well, like I said, I can kick off or I can not kick off. And I must say, when it does happen, when people do that sort of thing to me, guess what? The absolute worst thing I could do is retaliate. Because I've always, and that's always been, that's the other difficult thing of being stuck up this wall is it's done to me mentally, is that it's completely destroyed any compulsion I might have had to fight. Not fight, metaphorically. I know metaphorically, I can stand my own ground in an argument merely by staying stoic, staying peaceful, and refusing to bow to peer pressure, and to confine with other such abnormalities of this world, in which there's quite a lot going about in this world, probably more than I dare to admit. But then you talk about the physicality side of it. I suppose when it comes down to the physicality sides of things, I think it comes down to one real question. Do I even have the mental capacity to get out of where I sit, raise a fist, and under the knowledge that if I strike a blow, they may not be coming back down, they may not be coming back up again. I try not to what the hell is... It's just some people having some sort of... it didn't even sound like the noise a human being normally makes, but whatever. Anyway, so whilst all this is going on, I think it's also down to the fact that, violence is the last bastion of moral cowardice. And I've always... I know deep down inside, guess what? It's not within me to start, falling to such levels of... falling to cowardice and stuff like that, and fighting, because I've never really fought anyone in my life, because as I said before, there is always this bizarre idea one way or another that, guess what, if I was to square somebody in the face, there's a good chance they will go down and they may never be coming back up again. I know you can't think about that, you can't think about it like that, because it's not... well, actually, maybe maybe that guy used a weapon on someone, because an ambulance is just rocked up onto the scene. Maybe he's going further down, but we'll wait and see for certain. I don't even know what time it is, if I'm being honest. But, oh well. It's a bit of a... I think it's just turning into sort of one of those nights as much as any other, and I can at the very least say, you know what, if something ever happens again where somebody comes up, they do something, that, guess what, I won't react. I won't. They say that for every action there is a reaction, but what I am prepared to say is that, guess what, I'm the sort of person who's already conquered and dominated it in my mind. I know fine well that I can win the fight, the war, by not fighting. That's the great... I'm pretty sure that's the sort of thing that I imagine Sun Tzu would probably be rolling in his grave, who wrote The Art of War. You can win a war by not fighting. But maybe it's true. Maybe there is a lot to be said about, you can actually win And there's a lot to be said about winning by not fighting, because, well, what do I actually stand to win by fighting the way I do? And what do I actually stand to lose by not, so to speak? And I'm literally sat here trying to watch somebody get out of a taxi with all the agility and finesse of a drunken elephant hobbling about on one foot. She's not even anywhere close to being out, but that's how it is. Anyway, so I have also had it remarked to me that Big Market is just sort of one of those places where, guess what, you're bound to find all sorts frequenting around here. But you know what? I think it is being at that sort of, because I'm not exactly what you call in a position to start judging the characters of such people just because of, you know, how they dress or act. It's not within my nature to judge and like that, because it's not particularly fair. But still, like I said, if I had to look deep down inside myself, I still admit that I'm not exactly what you would call, you know, perfect. And in many ways, I can live with that. There's probably a lot of things wrong with me that I've conveniently overlooked or have overlooked completely by accident. But I am prepared to say that, guess what? This is just sort of the world, and guess what? This is very much the world we live in. I may not agree with it, but you know what? Do you want to get on, sister? No, alright, never mind. Like I said, I don't have, but then again, it's never been about I don't have to agree with it, and I've always been, hello. The camera's on me, brothers, anyway, don't worry about that. I'll let them know you gave a thumbs up anyway. They gave a thumbs up, so that's quite nice. So, yeah. You don't have to, you know, it's ironically the same things I said about the Manosphere when I watched that Louis Theroux documentary last week. I don't have to, I know, I feel like I'm a part of the Manosphere to whatever extent, but that does not mean I am a part of it or I represent or reflect any of the characteristics that go on inside of it. Insofar as I'm concerned, the only thing about the Manosphere that I seem to see a little bit inside myself is that I see myself as a little bit of a lone wolf. Somebody who is a force of nature, somebody who is not really on any one side. The only side I'm on is completely my own side. The only like comparison I can think of, even at this stage, would be something like, oh, I don't know, Deathwing, for example from World of Warcraft. Because Deathwing has no real agenda of his own. He's just this massive dragon who's just sort of there, I suppose. He doesn't really have any story. He doesn't really have any purpose. He doesn't really have a conscience of his own. He just sort of destroys, flies around Azeroth, and that's kind of all there is to really need to know about him. And there's something about that I do think is quite endearing, and there's more ambulances now coming past. But I will admit I do quite like that sort of thing. I quite like the idea that in this sort of like, okay, you know what? I'll tell you what. Let's move past what I was talking about before about being stuck up a wall. Let's talk about this other thing I've been working on. This sort of thing that I feel like you guys are going to have a real interesting... Hello. Do you want to get on, brother? Yeah, go on. Anything you want to say to the world, brother? The whole world's listening.
Max, are you on YouTube? Are you on YouTube?
Family.
What are you vlogging for?
YouTube.
What's your YouTube channel, Mark?
Raging Reality 1.
Raging Reality 1.
I feel like I'm being vlogged.
Can I search for you quickly?
Yeah.
Is this going to go in the cut?
Hopefully, yeah, sure. Usually these things go up by about like 7 in the morning, anything like that.
I'm going to wait for that, but not after the need. Actually, don't put me on him. I can't swear.
7 o'clock.
Raging Reality is 1.
You can swear all you like, brother. I'll edit it out. That's the
there we
beauty
go
of
now.
editing.
CPM, brother. Hey, is that you?
Hey, that is.
I can't subscribe. I didn't have a fucking account.
How long did you sit here?
This is only like the one night I did it because I wanted to do something a little bit different for tonight, and
I'll give you a video for you. I'll give you a
What do you normally do?
videos the second now. Right? You know Jim Skin?
oh, I've heard about him. Yeah.
Cheers,
Yeah, cheers.
I better go viral tomorrow.
I hope so.
Oh, there he is. Oh, there he is. Hey, subscribe. Raging Reality 1. Love and
Good
peace.
night.
Have a good night, my mates.
Bugs, FTP.
See you then.
I've got 2 million subscribers out. I'll give you a shout out.
Nice, I love that, brother. Right, okay, well that certainly went better than the last time I was sat here, so that's quite nice. So yeah, where was I before? So yeah, like I said I was before. So I made out previously this whole comment that I was like a lone wolf and how I am only a part of the quote-unquote manosphere in the sense that I am only in it, but I'm not a part of it. Like I don't reflect any of the characteristics displayed by people like HS Tiki Toki or that one guy out of Louisiana or Sneeko or any of those other guys. I'll tell you what I am, however, and I'll say this again for those who may have misheard me. I am like them in the sense that I feel independent. I feel like, again, that I am a force of nature, completely of my own. I'm not on any real side, one way or the other. I am completely, in the words of the famous song, a peaceful man stands tall. And these are all secondary expressions of this little guide that I put together like about 2 weeks ago. Because I am what they like to call, or at least the one I'm going to refer to myself as a 22nd century gangster. So what is a 22nd century gangster, you may ask? Well, it is essentially all the things I mentioned. I am basically a completely independent force of nature, one that doesn't have any side, who is virtually neutral in the capacities that I feel like matter to me, and the things I do have a very distinct interest in. I take part in them insofar as I will allow myself to be a part of them. I am somebody who knows absolutely everything about myself, and the only thing I am completely uncertain of are the things about what I lack in capacity. That's just about it. Take anger or fighting or anything like that. I know I have it in me, but I do not have the heart in me to resort to doing stuff like that. And that is kind of what I feel like a 22nd century gangster is. It's somebody who is, well, a little bit elevated above the norm. Hello.
What are you filming?
I'm doing a little documentary for YouTube.
Can I read it?
Do you want to get in, sister? Yeah.
What's it?
Just anything you want to say to the world, sister. The whole world's watching.
Hi, well, be positive, stay strong. You've got this.
Nice.
Thank you.
Raging Reality 1 on YouTube. Just to document what goes on in the night, stuff like that. Yeah. Usually these things go up by about like 7 in the morning anyway, so that should be Raging Reality 1.
Raging Reality 1.
Nice. Cheers again. Have another first one. On me. Good day. Cheers. Enjoy your night anyway. Oh yeah, don't worry. Hull, nice place. Have a good time. I've actually had a little bit of a Yorkshire accent, but yeah, like I said, the idea is that you elevate yourself to a standard that you wish to be carried as, or rather, not so much carried as, one that you know you want to be, because I feel like what you want to be is far more important than what other people choose to see you as. You don't bow to peer pressure, and you don't say things that are untrue, and you thought that short-term success is more important than long-term success. That's kind of like, is that like what the beginning of people like HS Harrison or Sneeko turns out, is that they're a little bit too independent and they're a little bit too sure of themselves, so therefore they have to spice it up, even if it is short-term. Well, again, that's a philosophy I don't really agree with or believe in. The philosophy that I chosen, because the reality that I live in, is that I will continue to be myself. I will continue to do what I want to do. I will continue to set out my goals. I will continue to behave the way I do. Not because it looks good, because I know deep down inside that guess what? It's the right thing to do. It's what I've chosen, and I very rarely know anything else. More than anything, I know all of two things. I know who I am, and I know what I am about. And that is as far as I feel like it needs to go. And when one makes it about as simple as that, then there's really not much purpose in like taking it any further. And you know what? I can continue to be myself in any capacity, one way or the other. The only thing that really matters is that I tell myself that at the end of the day, I am a free man in here, and you're right. So therefore, and in some small way, I almost feel as if like there's not much point in like referencing like anything else, because I feel like I've said everything that needs to be said, and I've made my position and my stance as clear as it needs to be. I don't think deep down inside there's much point in saying it at all, but it is as so to speak, as Big Market is getting a little bit busier, is that I always do have to remind myself is that I can at the very least say, well, this is the world that I live in. But this is only a part of the world that I live in, and whether I like it or not, this is the reality of things. It is not, however, the reality that I am going to choose to be a part of, because as far as I'm concerned and am aware of, all I have to do is accept what I know and what I am about. And those are the only things I will continue to accept. The success of things like Raging Reality is not so much that I have accepted the world that I live in, but rather I've accepted the world that I live in, and I'm going to choose to be of whatever world I want to be in. Not because it may be right or may be wrong, but guess what? At the end of the day, you know what? It's based on a system and a belief that what I choose is what I have chosen to stand by. And that I do not believe for any 1 second that confining to peer pressure or feeling that I have to be anything other than myself is what's most important. It's not the easiest thing in the world to be independent or to feel that you are of yourself, and that's what matters. But as I said before, I am Deathwing. I am a lone wolf. I am a 22nd century gangster, somebody who stands tall, and in the words of my favorite song, a peaceful man stands tallest. And with all that being said, and what has been a little bit of a different video from the norm, you know what? I am proud to say that guess what? I don't regret 1 minute I have for doing this video, and I won't regret what I do in the future, because that would be anything but truthful. So with that being said, I will see all of you guys again next time. Thank you.